Yahoo draft rooms have finally opened. That means Yahoo have released their initial preseason rankings. Tonight, we're checking out the top 25. Let's go and win some leagues. G'day, guys. I'm D-Mac from NBA Fantasy Bible here on the Believe in Fantasy Basketball Network. We are exactly 2 months away from the NBA regular season opening night. In the last 2 weeks, we've dissected ESPN and Fantrax ADP data, but tonight, we're breaking down the Yahoo preseason ranks. Helping me break down those rankings is another Believe in Fantasy Basketball expert, Matty G.
My man.
How are you?
Mate, look, I'm good. I'm just excited. I'm excited to have more Dan Titus content in my life. So shout out to you, Dan. Obviously, Yahoo and exciting time. This means now that all the big players, DMAC, we out here. Like, you know what I mean? We're out here. We've got all the main data from Yahoo, ESPN, Fantrax, and we're here to break it down and get to it.
Absolutely.
And I bought a new haircut for you, and I didn't even wear a baseball cap after your beautiful do last week. It feels good.
We're trying to outdo each other with the hair stays, but I think you've got me covered right now, my friend. But yeah, like you said, we've got Yahoo now. We've only got the preseason ranks, and it's interesting because there was a little bit of confusion from quite a few people, analysts included. A couple of lists came out. We saw preseason ranking lists, and we also saw the projected ranks as well. And there's a few discrepancies there. What we're going to look at today primarily is the preseason ranks, because I noticed that the projected ranks just looked a little bit askew, a little bit crazy. So we're going to focus on something that's a little bit more sensible, but I think we can get some and create some value out of even that rankings list.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the big things to take note of this is that when, again, I know Dan Titus put out, so shout out to you again, Dan, he's points league specialist. Now, there's the two things that we always wanted to focus on in Yahoo. It's their rank and their whole X rank thing. So this is also creates some confusion as well. Who's rostered, who's not. And so when we break this down, this always causes a little bit of conflict, we would say, between what's a rank, what's an X rank. Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah, and for all our viewers on Believe in Fantasy, a lot of you are points league guys. So this is still applicable to you guys, but also applicable to category league players. The rankings are based on 9-cat, which is quite surprising when we'll go through some of the ranks and keep an eye out, and we'll let you know where it looks a little bit surprising. But shall we get straight into it, mate?
Let's get to it.
Okay. First five. So you know the format, guys, but first five. Number one, no-brainer, Nikola Jokic. That's no different with Yahoo. So that's been consistent across all three platforms, Yahoo, Fantrax, and ESPN. No surprise, mate?
Yeah, none at all. I guess the biggest surprise for me today was that we're doing this at 9:52 p.m. in Sydney time, and then you look at the ads and the drops in leagues with those who already have leagues. The biggest surprise for me has been that Bronny James has been added 4 times and dropped 0 times. He's currently the most added player in fantasy for the only time this season, because that's what shocks me. What doesn't shock me is Nikola Jokic being number one. That's just a no-brainer for me this fantasy season.
Yeah, and what I've done, I've still highlighted Fantrax ADP. ESPN ADP is there. Eventually, we will get some Yahoo ADP once mocks open. At the moment, mock rooms are not open, but we do have these initial rankings. Number 2, somewhat of a surprise, Giannis.
Yeah, look, he's getting a lot of preseason hype, whether he is your guy or not. Look, we all know the flaws in his game. We've called it out on the Top 50 show. Go check that out on the Fantrax. I think we did a good job talking about the freak. Mr. Antetokounmpo is very high in points leagues. And this, again, gives the suggestion that the focus of these rankings is coming from points leagues. It's huge. If you're thinking about 30 points a game, they're projecting him at 30 points a game, 12 rebounds, 6.5 assists, and 3 turnovers, with 600 from the floor. These are wild percentages they're projecting from him, mate.
Yeah, I know he's got a lot more to do. Is he the Lone Ranger in Milwaukee?
Yeah, unless you talk to Kyle Kuzma, and he's thinking that he's an excellent Robin, and Giannis is Batman. Because, again, we've seen the regression as well. The game has played the last 2 years of just, slightly falling down. We had 73, then 67. He went from 611 from the field. We saw him have to carry the team with 600 last year. He attempted less free throws last year, and this is the interesting thing about Giannis. His free throws were down last year. He took 782 the year before. This is the thing which gets me. Last year he was at 707. Now if Milwaukee stinks, he's not a guy not to be competitive. Am I right, D-Mac? Like, this is a guy who wants to compete.
He wants to win. He always wants to win. So I can't see him saying, you know what, it's going to be a tanking season for us. Let's lay down. Let's have Kevin Porter Jr. on the show. I don't think that's going to happen. So Giannis is a clear top 5. If he's a 2 or a 5, it remains to be seen. I think 2 is a little bit high for category leagues, but understandable and viable in points leagues. You see the ESPN points rankings from last season. Yep, that's dead on. That's par. That's second there. So number 3, Victor Wembanyama. Goes ahead of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 4.
Yeah, this is what should stand out, is that the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the OKC playoff schedule is causing some alarm. And so we'll do a deep dive on this. I've got a video coming out, a short one, about the schedule, especially before drafts, because I think it's important to look at it and see where the rankings go beforehand, and then really look into the schedule. The NBA schedules come out. It depends on your league settings. And you can change these, or your commissioner can change these before your draft. So we'll do something about you need to petition your commissioner, because the OKC schedule isn't great. One could say this could bump Shai down slightly. I'm really happy with Victor Wembanyama here. I know some sites have projected him already number 1 and expecting him to play around the same amount of games as Jokic this year, which is around 70 plus. Look, him at 3, no brainer. You take him.
Yeah, I'm okay with Victor at 3. 4 for Shai, I think, is nice value, to be honest. And just wanted to reiterate with the guys as well that the ADP data that you see in front of us is the same data that we presented last week as well. So we'll update that. It is updating quite often, but then it won't be significant. But we'll get a better glimpse of things when we have ADP data across all 3 formats. Now, rounding out the top 5. Yeah, go on.
We'll say this. I think it's just really important to say that we left the ADP data here to be like, okay, so Yahoo's stepping into the ring. It's almost like, like in the wrestling formats where like there's 2 guys in the ring and they've been battling it out. And then all of a sudden there's this dun, 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 dun. There's this dun, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the Undertaker. And you look up the ramp and there's the Undertaker. Well, there's Yahoo up the rank.
Sprinting out. Yeah, Yahoo's sprinting into the Royal Rumble. Yep.
Exactly. And Yahoo's coming into the Royal Rumble at this point in time. Where do they sit against those initial ADPs that we had established from ESPN? Those initial ones we had from Yahoo. Like, where do they come in as these guys drop and they're already out there? We wanted to look at this and be like, okay, has anything shifted since Yahoo dropped their ranks? And we can slightly see it coming into Yahoo again with Fantrax. Again, this is it. This is the guy, number 5, because Giannis has leapt up. And you can see here that he's leapt up to number 2 on Yahoo. And Luka's the guy who's fallen into number 5.
It is interesting. 5 seems to be pretty consistent across the formats, and 5th in points leagues last season. Obviously, with the trade, it wasn't as consistent, or couldn't build that chemistry with the Lakers as well as he probably could have. I think it's going to be a decent season for him. I think the Lakers could be a sneaky chance as well. But that's one for the Lakers. I also just wanted to mention, it will be interesting to see how that ADP data plays out for Yahoo, seeming that on the app, which a lot of people use to draft, that's where the projected rankings come into it. And that's where we saw quite a few crazy or intriguing ranks at this stage. So pre-ranks or preseason ranks as opposed to projected ranks. We'll see how that plays out in terms of ADP. But Luka at 5, I think that's safe.
Look, that's really safe. And he's got a reasonably friendly schedule. He's looking svelte. He may come away. We had a little bit of that injury warning from him the other day, but there's no doubt about it that Luka is going to have, he is the focal point of the Lakers moving forward. He's done the men's health cover, and he's just pushing for team MVP, isn't he, D-Mac? This is the guy that wants to be like, this is my team now. This is my franchise. The contracts come. That question's been answered. Hey, guys. And this could be cheeky money, MVP season, Luka. This is the full arc, isn't it?
We say it a lot in preseason, but boy, he does look good. GQ model, here we come. But yeah, Come on, Luka. Going to the next 5 and at 6. We have seen that across the other platforms as well. And at 6 and Kate at 7, quite interchangeable.
Yeah, mate. Talk about MVPs. Number one in your heart, number one in your acting list, and big showman. Anthony Edwards is the guy. Like we all see this with Ant. We all see him overdrafted. For me, Anthony Edwards is a guy who is overdrafted. I don't know if I think that he is good enough to be a first round player. I don't have him in my first round of my projections. I have him in the second round. But we're just seeing him being drafted over guys like Kawhi Leonard, over Steph Curry, over Chris, like guys like Tyrese Maxey, who I like, guys who are like even Don Mitchell. We're just seeing like, oh, it's got to be, it's just, this is name brand recognition at its most elite. I don't see him as first round at the end of the day. I don't think I ever will until it comes that time he is. And then I'll be called, man. But I don't see him as first round. Do you see Edwards in any format as a first round guy? To be honest.
To be honest, no. But I can see the appeal. You see a lot of those first rounders. Tatum's not there. Halliburton's not there. Dame's not going to be there as well. Kyrie's not going to be there. So I can see the appeal, and yeah, he tends to be quite durable as well. That's another consideration when you consider guys like Anthony Davis, which we'll speak about as well. The guys like you've spoken about, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid will never be a first rounder ever again. But I can see the appeal with Ant. I just don't know if push came to shove if I'm taking him at 6.
Yeah, look, push comes to shove. I'm not taking him at 6, but I see why. I understand why. We see it across the board. There seems to be consensus that he is 6 or 7 there. And we see that with the next guy here as well, Cade Cunningham. He has been like one of the best players in fantasy basketball. But look, not in fantasy basketball. He's been one of the best players to come out of last year. He got a massive bump. You could say that he was one of the, I think because, D-Mac, would you agree that he was kind of one of the because he's so good, and because people want him to be good, he was actually one of the best fantasy assets people could have picked up last year in drafts?
I think so. Yep, he was undervalued. And still to this day, we get a lot of people going, hey, look at his 9-cat rank, 19th. He's not a first rounder. But as you know, and as we've discussed on previous episodes, make sure you check it out. I disregard turnovers. Yeah, he's high in turnovers, but he gets you so many great numbers, counting stats, efficiency-wise, defensive stats. He has it all. Turnovers aside, he has it all. So at 7, I'm happy to take him right there.
Absolutely. He has a really high usage rate for his team as well. I see him getting over like 30% of usage this year. He's like up there with guys like Shea and Luka, who are like 32 to 35% guys. Like this is Cade's usage rate. More usage, more ball. You can do more in your hands. I expect him to be around 25, 26 points a game this year. Maybe 8 assists a game, rebounds around 5. So if you're giving me 25, 8, and 5, I'm happy as Larry with that. I can build off that. I see him getting more efficient from the field as well. He really is the MVP of the Detroit Pistons. And if you want to be the MVP of your league, make sure you like and subscribe to all things Believe in Fantasy and become a VIP member. All you need to do is follow the links down below in this video, D-Mac. Should we point? Should we do the point thing where people just do the thing?
Guys.
Like down below? Down below.
And what do you get access to, Matty G?
Oh, mate, you, me,
oh, you wish,
Robin. Didn't
we give away his address last week? I think we may have, or at least his phone number.
There was a massive influx in tourism to Atlanta, over into America last week because of what we did. Pat Mama, our guy, look, you get direct access to the team. The Discord, the weekly question and answer. We've had so many mock drafts popping up there. You get direct access to jumping in live on these with live feedback in there, and even special giveaways, including I think there's an Evan Mobley rookie card. It's nuts. Anyway, just do it. Get some stuff. Get some swag. Get your game on tilt down below with MVP membership.
Absolutely. BelieveInFantasy.com. Now, getting back into it, number 8, Anthony Davis. That seems, again, consensus across all platforms.
Sexy. I like it. I'm taking it. I'm taking him at 6. I'm taking him at 7. I'm taking him at 8. Geez, if he's there at 11, I'm just crying, going like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, every other manager. I love you.
Let's move on quickly. We're pretty happy, and I like him there as well. 9, Karl Anthony Towns. Towns is probably going to lose minutes this season under Mike Brown. The Thibs effect no longer there. I think this is across the board with all the Knicks, but is he still a first rounder?
Look, that's a. Did you have to ask the question at the end?
I did not.
Oh dear. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say that he is. I'm gonna say that last year he got like 30. I think he was at like 35, 36 minutes a night. I see him at 33, 34. I see him as pivotal. I know there's some support for him this year, but I do see him as just a quintessential Nick at this point. And I know that Jalen Brunson is the man in town and he's done the sneaker ads for the Kobe Halos and whatever. But I do think that Karl Anthony Towns is their best fantasy asset. I see him at 9 as solid. I see what he brings to your fantasy table as solid. And I'm really content with him there. Like if he's there at 9 and he's playing 70 games for my year and he's scoring 25 points, 10 rebounds, if he can get the blocks back up to what we've seen, it's great. But what I love is the stability of plus 500, plus 800 from the free throw line. I can build off that, and I like it.
Yeah, we talked about our perfect pairs. Check out that episode as well. And we spoke about Karl Anthony Towns. I guess one factor that could maybe drop him down is there's been discussions around Mitchell Robinson starting at the 5, Cat moving to the 4. So then that block rate could actually reduce. So it could be worse for Karl Anthony Towns. But
and don't factor that in. Yeah, 100%. Like, no, yeah, you're bang on. Don't factor that in. Don't think, oh, he's a center and he's had blocks and he's been great in fantasy or blocks in the past. Get that out of your freaking mind. Like, if you just go in and be like, what can I build off a base that I know that Karl Anthony Towns is going to get? Okay, well, here's your base of what he's going to get. He's going to get you about 25 points a night, 23 to 26. Let's just say that's his average for this year. 10 rebounds, I think, is a given. Assists, 3, 4 a game, maybe. And maybe you do a 1-and-1. Maybe he gets a steal and maybe he gets a block. Cool. Those are peripheral stats that you can get anywhere. And they're also like categorical scarcity. They're scarcer to get. So just put them out the window. Build off his field goal percentage, plus 500, pretty much guaranteed. And for a center, a high free throw percentage with volume, plus 800, plus 820, 825 maybe, or north. Yeah, that's what I like, D-Mac. Like, that's for me. Points, rebounds, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. That's 4 solid categories that I can get. Now, he hurts you in turnovers, but for me, I like that. The great thing is if he averages 2 threes a game, well, he starts to make some money back for you there.
And mate, he's the self-proclaimed best shooting big man in the league as well. Number 10, not the best shooting big man, but solid, particularly for you guys that play points leagues. Rounding out the top 10 is Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, this is the points league. This is this thing where the Yahoo tilt right now seems to be towards points leagues. On this, I think a lot of points people are, and you can see that it's really on parity to ESPN at 9.4. Where it's not as the category leagues of fan tracks at 19. And that's where for me, I'm like, how
what is interesting is this is Yahoo with their own rankings based off of 9cat. This is not points leagues guys doing mocks. That is the interesting thing for me.
I think this is, to be honest, I think there's something in the water here at at Yahoo, where they've looked at, I don't know, man. I know this is, something stands out for me and I'm not sure what it is. And I'm looking for Yahoo clarification here because for me, the current ADP data, if I sort through it right now, and I'm looking, and right now on the other page, I've got one open right now on Fantrax where they're live up to the minute. Domantas Sabonis is 18.4. So he's come in slightly from what we can see here at 19.6. So he's only come in 1, and that's in category leagues. ESPN, he's hung around the same. I am thinking this is the early ESPN points leagues with those who are drafting in those points leagues early, because we know that points leagues guys do draft earlier or they have their teams from last year. I think that's what Yahoo solidified around. And I think we're going to see an exponential increase in difference in ADPs and data from Yahoo in the next month. And if you draft early, and this is the number one takeaway, D-Mac, with this from your episode when you would tell me, I was like, man, you know what? I think this is just pure gold for early drafters. Because if you are drafting early right now, this is what you want to be on.
And we don't recommend that you do draft early.
No.
If your league and your commissioner just insists on doing so, you exploit the system. You exploit these ranks, the ADPs as well, and you create value. So continue listening to us. But yeah, Domantas Sabonis at 10 is too high for me unless you are obviously in a points league. Moving on to the next 5. Trae Young at 11. Solid. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, love it. All about it. 100% there for it. Number 11, this is what you're going to be getting, Trae Young. Again, we know his deficiencies. People aren't leaving Trae Young out on a wire very much. In fact, I probably see Trae Young as like in category leagues. Do I sound like a jerk when I say I've got him at like 24? I know this for a fact because I've got him at my lucky number. I've got him as 24 on my big board. Personally, I'll say it.
Wow. Okay, there we go. He's high for me. Maybe 24 is accounting for those turnovers as well. So
it is.
A lot of you guys do. Yeah. Look.
But the big thing with me is no. I've got him. I've got him accounting for that, but I've also got him accounting for an absolutely poor field goal percentage again. Like for me, the thing that he has to get is above 450. And I don't know if that's his game. If he's falling down 420 below, he drops that down. He takes a lot of goals, a lot of attempts at goal. He does boil you in free throw percentage, and in certain builds, if you're punting two things, his value goes up absolutely exponentially, doesn't it, mate?
It absolutely does. I was also considering the fact that Kristaps Porzingis is there. He's quite a high usage center as well.
Yep.
Whether or not he starts, whether or not he plays alongside of Onyeka Okongwu remains to be seen. We'll get confirmation of that, hopefully not too distant future. But yeah,
but the thing on that though, with the KP thing, here's an interesting thing. Okay, let's say you take field goal percentage out and turnovers out. How much of a bump from like, let's say I have him at 24, you've got him at like, let's say 12 at the end of the first round. What do you think his bump is then if you take those two things away?
I think he's a first rounder if you take that away.
Yeah. I actually have him as probably like the fourth, fifth, sixth best player. If you take out, so if you're punting field goal percentage and if you're punting turnovers and he's there and at the end of your first round, maybe that's a strategy, D-Mac. You think people should, this is where we use it. Okay, Trae Young's going to be there at 10. I could build off Trae if I focus on field goal percentage and turnovers being a punt build for me. I think that's the go.
I think so. While I die here.
You die. You're dying.
Yeah.
Trae Young. Trae Young, the fifth. Oh, God. Field goal percentage. Turnovers. Jesus. It's breaking your heart.
It is breaking my heart, mate. But the fact that, look at those ESPN points, 14th from last season. Across the board, I think he's safe. 9Cat 41st. You might have to step in here for me, mate. But 41st last season. I think
turn your microphone off for a second and let me tell people about Paolo Banchero next. Let me get on.
I just want to keep going with Trae Young. I'm getting my voice back. I'm getting my will back. You sort of brought me down with Trae Young at 24.
Here's the great dividing wall of basketball for us. Now, look, man, I've won leagues with Trae Young. I sound like such a hater when I say that I've got him at 24 because I acknowledge his deficiencies and that people do people do shit better than him. Like, period. That's just it. Like, it's not me hating on Trae Young. I love what he does in Madison Square Garden. I love that he takes on that villain role. This is not me disparaging the fact that he has his own sneaker deal. And I don't think he's overrated. I like watching some of the stuff that Trae Young does. And I think with a team that's being built to win this year in Atlanta, I think Atlanta is going to be good. I think they're going to be fun to watch. But does that make me think that he's going to be any better? Well, I do think the best fantasy basketball player on the Atlanta Hawks is Kristaps Porzingis. Period. Like, that's just me. Like, I see a guy who's going to shoot like threes, get me blocks, get me steals, get me free throws, and a whole bunch of good stuff that he doesn't do is better on Atlanta. Like, okay, gun to your head. Who's better in fantasy basketball for the Atlanta Hawks? KP or Trae?
Trae.
Period.
Yep, period.
You say Trae.
Trae. Statistical scarcity as well, my friend. No Halliburton, no Dame. Assists are hard
Look,
to come by unless you just don't care about
he's the
assists.
leader. No, I do. I do. And again, this is where if you're focusing on that, if your build is based on assist and punting field goal percentage and turnovers, great. He gets a bump and KP is going to go well down your board. But overall, I think the best overall player in my category is KP. And I may see him as a top 15, 20 player, whereas I see Trey with those efficiencies outside that. Whether it's true or false is up to debate. But this is where I do believe that if you use him as a solid building block, again, check out that perfect pairs episode we did. If you were building off Trey Young, this is where the turn is you skip this next guy, Paolo Banchero, and you hit it up with James Harden, who you can see at 15th. Because if you're pairing Trey Young with James Harden in your first round, you are just eating. Tyrese Maxey is there, which I thought was the most curious one because I'm no longer texting Dan Titus because I swear to goodness he put Tyrese Maxey at 14 just to be like, oh, you son of a gun, because you know how high I am on Maxey.
I think we
And
both
this
are.
for me,
we're excited by him. Yeah.
I'm excited by Maxey this season. He's one of the guys like Tyler Hero that I'm like, I really like Tyrese Maxey. This for me, Paolo Banchero is at 12. This is a points league specialty, served up nice and hot and fresh for you because he is at the higher rank here, DMAC, than he is on any other platform at 12, mate.
It does make sense to me. Unless he's just going to take make that breakout season. He's got Desmond Bain there as well. Jalen Suggs hopefully is healthy. Obviously, you've got Franz Wagner as well. He's ever continuing to improve as well. So I just can't see it. I can't justify a 12. Others, perhaps in points leagues, can justify that. I guess it is a safe pick for points leagues, but in categories, you can do way better, like a lot better.
You can do a lot better, man. Look, Paolo, and this is the thing, it's household name, it's name recognition. In a points league, this is a guy that you want to go because we saw the triple-double last year that everyone blew up about. It was massive, and then he went down injured. Like the very next game, wasn't it? After that huge line that he put up, and that was it's devastating. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, people were trying to trade for him. In leagues, people were like, oh my gosh, look at this massive line. It was 50 and no one's done this. No Orlando Magic players and Shaquille O'Neal. Shout out to Robin Marks for posting Shaq and Kobe of us this week. That was kind of cute. Maybe a laugh. I'll take that. I was like, I'm Shaq. I'm Shaq.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll take
I'm
Kobe.
bigger. I'm bigger. I'm giving you Kobe. It's
I'll
fine.
take Kobe. I'll take Kobe.
You'll take
friend of Kobe. Friend of Kobe. Devin Booker at 13.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I think he's in for a massive season. The only concern is the Suns. How bad are they going to be? That's my concern.
The only concern is the team that he actually plays basketball for.
Absolutely. They're not going to be competitive. I can't see them being competitive.
I can't see them also not being competitive because of this and Matt Ishbia's ownership. I can see them just doing Phoenix Suns stuff, which also makes me feel that like even when they were incompetent, they weren't incompetent, if that makes sense. This is a team that wasn't, even when they weren't tanking hard to get those picks that reestablished them with guys like Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton over time. So I can't see them totally going off the tank rails. I do see them working with Jalen Green. And I'm starting to think that I can't believe that I'm saying that Jalen Green's being underdrafted because, you're like, oh, Jalen Green. I'm like, maybe there's some Jalen Green action we can get in on later in drafts. Just maybe if we flirt with him at the bar a little bit, like, hey, Jalen. But here, Devin Booker at 13. It's the earliest as we can see. Fantrax is 14 and 22.9 ESPN. This is about where it stands. But we have seen movement lately, haven't we, on Fantrax where Devin Booker's come in a little bit more again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think end of that first round, start of the second round, I think that's where you're just going to have to take him. So keep that in mind. Okay, here's one for you. Devin Booker, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, or Trey Young.
It's the guards. It's the back. Man, it's the back end of the guards. We did this exercise last week again. Check out the Perfect Pairs show on the Top 50 show. This is like I think the Perfect Pairs show spoke to it perfectly because we said we grouped it. Maybe do I still have the slide in here from last week? Oh, I did. Look, there it is.
There you go.
Here we go. And there, and backing up what we said, here we go. There's the guys. You can get guys in some leagues where you compare like Cade is falling down and then Trey's coming back in. But Trey and bloody Harden, fantastic. But these are the other guys you compare back. The Steph Currys of the world, who we haven't even mentioned. Jalen Brunson, we haven't even mentioned. Devin Booker around here, man. These are the guys we want to focus on here because you can pair these guys up really easily. So the message here, I think you and I are both in agreement that if you want to hit points, assists, and high free throw percentage early, this is where you can do it really effectively in your drafts and take away 2 first-round guys in those regards in the first round at the end of it and in the second round, nudging your value up a little bit hard.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good spot, actually. Speaking of good spot, 16 for Jalen Williams. Is that too high? Because it's a lot higher than what we've seen on Fantrax and ESPN.
Yes. Yes, it is. And I know that someone's going to aggregate me on social media again, because every time I say anything bad about J-Dub, someone gets a beer their bonnet. And you know this. You know, like, let's be honest, you know how much I love J-Dub, don't you? Like, you know how much I love Jalen Williams.
Absolutely. I love him too. But 16, oh, boy.
I've got like graded Gem 10 rookie cards of the bloke. Like, he's one of my favorite players. I see him as a 25 to 35 player. I see Chet Holmgren being underdrafted this year more than Jalen Williams. I see LaMelo Ball going higher here. I see Jalen Johnson going higher. I see a whole bunch of highness here that is just this is a page that literally 16 to 20 on Yahoo blows my fantasy brain away, doesn't it, mate?
Look, I don't mind the Jalen Johnson one. You know, I love Jalen Johnson. Brunson, bit high for me. Okay. Yeah. But LaMelo at 17.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my stars and garters.
Jalen Brown at 20. I just can't get behind it. I know that he's going to have a massive season. Boston just depleted of real talent. And that's why we'll get to it later. But projected ranks for guys like Peyton Pritchard is just crazy. It's madness. But yeah, this area of the pre-ranks is very intriguing.
I have Jalen Johnson in my board. I have him, I think I've got him bang on 20 or 22. I've got him. It's so funny. I've actually got, when I looked at it, I'm like, I actually had to like do a blood alcohol level test. Like I had to do like I had to go to an RBT and be like, guys, can you just test me? Because I've got 3 Atlanta Hawks in the top 25. And the police officer looked at me and just shook his head and was like, no, just drive on, go get home because you're a danger to yourself and others. Because in my top 25, I've got, as I said, I'm 24, I've got Trae Young. I've got Kristaps Porzingis in there. And I've got 3 Atlanta Hawks in my top 25 this year in my projections. If all goes well, God bless and healthy and all that stuff, they're the only team that has 3 players inside the top 25. In fact, Dyson Daniels just missed out on my projections. Technically speaking, the Atlanta Hawks are the only team that I have projected inside the top 30 with 4 players. It's insane. It's actually insane.
And we'll go through it a little bit later, but Dyson Daniels' projected rank on Yahoo, it's a thing to be seen, but they have him at 12. Spoiler alert, they have him at 12. So that's madness, but we'll get to that in a jiffy. Anything else you want to discuss on this slide? But all very risky apart from probably Jalen Johnson
and Brunson. Like Brunson here is 19. It might be early, but it is what you is. We know there's going to be a shortage of guards. He fell a little bit flat last year, you could say, with Brunson. But again, he is what he is. Less minutes. We've said that before, as you pointed out, with old mate Karl Anthony Towns. I see these guys as fantastic. I do see Jalen Brunson falling back down a little bit. His field goal percentage, I think, can come up this year. He has a great free throw percentage. But I just think with less minutes this year, I see him about – look, here's the start. I see him probably playing the – I see him and probably would you say OG or Mikal Bridges get more minutes this year? I would say Brunson's still their like number 1 guy. So he gets more minutes than I have like the 33, 34 for Cat. I say Brunson's still their point guard at like 35. Let's just say he's 35.
Yep.
Do you see anyone else in around that amount of minutes this year with the Knicks?
It might actually come down to whether or not they play more Mitchell Robinson
Yeah.
and then do they need OG Anunoby's defense as well? Because I think they can get away with a little bit more with Mitchell Robinson in the paint. If
Mhm.
not, then OG will play more. Mikal Bridges is not the defensive player that he once was, but he's still important to that team. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think they all take a little bit of a haircut, just like ourselves. But 19 for Brunson is a lot more sensible than what ESPN ADP data have him. At
Yeah.
last glance, it was 11.5. It's probably, well, might possibly settle, but yeah, we'll check that out a little bit later. But that's the top 20. Shall we round
Apart
out the
from
top
Jalen,
25?
yeah, we shared. The only thing is, I won't even comment on Jalen Brown, who I have outside my top 50 this year. If you were
Okay.
taking him inside the top 20 this year, and you think that Boston's going to showcase him, you have just lost your league. No, I won't say that. You probably haven't lost your league, but you have expelled a second round pick. You could have got a much better player because if you go to that next slide, there are names on here that I like more. De'Aaron Fox, LeBron James, Evan Mobley I like more. Scotty Barnes I like more. I like all of these guys, apart from Şengün, more. This is, again, a points special. With Alpi Şengün being 23rd, that's insane. That's craziness.
Yeah, it is. And you even look at the -1 rankings from last season. He was an all-star guy, but 82nd, there's just too many holes in his game. It's not just one category or two. There's just too many deficiencies. And I can see the upside. Still a young guy, exciting to watch, baby Jokic. But 23 inside the first two rounds, I can't get behind that one as well.
Yeah, neither can I. The one here that stands out for me is, that I am a pro LeBron James guy. I think some people are knocking LeBron down a little bit this year. And he continually, I think it's because based on like, okay, surely not again this year. Like, surely not again this year. I know some early rankings and some analysts have him outside the top 30, and that's fine. I don't know how many games they're expecting him to have or not to have. And I think that's up to it. Like, if this bloke plays like 65 games, 70 games for the year and takes off like 3 weeks somewhere along the line, that's fine. But he's just been Mr. Consistency. So this is almost feels like about the place, but also like the place that you're probably going to need to take him, considering for the last few years, the bloke hasn't finished outside per game, the top 25. So for me, this is about the value. I've taken him in a draft. You and I break down the analyst mock draft I've just done, where I've taken him at the back end of the second round at 24 based on complimenting Jokic because I wanted to put our perfect pairs test to the test because I called it out last week. And I said, you know what? If I'm picking number one, I got Jokic. A great person to pair him with would be LeBron James. So I actually put that to the test. And we're going to break down that draft really soon. I think the best ones here are definitely Barnes and Mobley. This is where we're seeing Mobley's really settling in now to a second. Like, Mobley's a second round guy now in fantasy.
Absolutely. And if in a dynasty situation, more like a top 10, top 12 sort of guy, and he's just really flourishing
Saucy.
right now. It's exciting. But let's get to some other guys that aren't in the top 25, but I think at this stage undervalued. And again, we're looking at the two different lists that Yahoo currently have. Steph Curry, preseason ranked list 26, projected rank 22nd. You mentioned it earlier, probably more like a start of second round, end of first round type of guy.
Yeah, this is a guy that if you're picking him up, if he slides in your draft into the back of the second round, you're like, what? Why is everyone
Thank
like?
you.
Why is everyone?
Thank you for
Why is
letting me
everyone?
win the league.
Why is everyone? Why is everyone not touch Steph?
Yeah,
Why
you
is
start checking your Twitter going,
what's
is there news that I've missed?
Is there news? Is he dead?
Yeah.
Like you start doing that. That's a really interesting one for me. Kevin Durant. This is just some recency bias here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these three guys. These two guys. The next one, Jaren Jackson Jr. I understand the hesitancy on Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that is more acclimated to the fact that the Memphis Grizzlies are somewhat a new beast, you could say, without Desmond Bane in the rank. I have him inside my first two rounds. He is a perfect pair for me if you're getting like 1.5 to 2 blocks a game out of him with Victor Wembanyama. Because instantly, if you take Victor Wembanyama's blocks, and let's say I do the baseline, I said 1.5 to 2. So let's say I say 1.5 blocks from Jaren Jackson Jr. And you couple that up again with Victor Wembanyama at like 3.5, all of a sudden you've got 5 blocks a game in your bank. And if you're looking at that, you could probably easily win that one category in the league, in your league, and then build off that for the rest of the time. And that's, again, a scarcer category. Love that. This Turner one, I'm really curious. Are we sniffing some Miles Turner value in category leagues this year?
Yeah, we spoke about it at the top of the episode, just talking about doing your drafts early. Again, we don't advise it, but if you are, look at that. That's really a points league situation as well. I think he does obviously the blocks boost his value in a category league situation, but in a points league, yeah, around that between 50 and 70 is probably where you should be picking him up. You get him at
Where have you
73 in a category.
where
I
have you
think it's
got
around
him?
that 50 mark. Yeah, I think the projected rank, they actually have this one. It's about right. I
Yeah.
think we had some early fan track starter that had him about 39 or 40, which
Yep.
I see the excitement. New team. He's going to support Giannis. It's a little bit early, but it's not egregious. So around that, probably 40 to
I
50 is okay.
I had in my initial ranks, I had him higher, and I had to think maybe he's not. And then I ended up slotting him in the 30s and still being really comfortable with it. Like, I actually moved him around. Like, Miles Turner was probably one of my biggest. It's probably because I like him because he likes Lego. Maybe. I don't know. It's not that. I can just tell you now that it's not that. But my analyst had in
I
his
didn't actually
category
know you
leagues.
like Lego, but thank you for telling me.
I love Lego. Love Lego.
Yeah.
Got some dope sets. Picked up an $8. Shout out any Lego fans. Lego's just released a dope little mini Millennium Falcon for your desk. It's $8, $12. It's amazing. Just pick that one up. I see him playing like 30 plus minutes a night. I like 32, 33, 34, 35 minutes. I just see him playing a bunch with Doc Rivers. I don't know who else they've got apart from Bobby Portis there now with Lopez out of the way. I see him getting a couple threes a game. I see him maybe between 6 to 8 rebounds a night. I see 2 blocks a game, but I see him at plus 500 and 750, 770 from the line. And I think that that's value. And I think that I had a really hard time, like my recency bias on maybe he wasn't the greatest all the time in the finals with what he actually can do and unlock in this system in Milwaukee on a team that really needs him to like who else do they actually have? But the more I thought about it, I'm like, wait, am I putting trust in Kyle Kuzma, Gary Trent Jr., and Kevin Porter Jr. before I am Miles Turner? He's number 2 here.
Don't
He's
forget
number
Cole
2.
Anthony. We'll talk about Cole Anthony in a future episode because he's one of my guys that you just have
I
to keep an
know.
eye on. But going back to Miles Turner, yeah, 73. That's value. That's value.
So
if you can
much
get in there.
value. Like if you get him
Speaking of-
there, if you're in your 50s and you get him, I think it's value.
Yeah.
If you're getting him there at 73, just again, cry like I did for Steph Curry and say thank you to everyone else in your league for winning it this year. Jamal Murray, I love that as well. We'll do that again. Check out the episode that's also dropping this week on Believe in Fantasy, where I look at the analyst mock draft because I know that on Josh Lloyd's podcast, he said, damn it, Matty, you took Jamal, the headmaster, he calls him. I took him the pick or 2 picks before he did because this is the kind of zone in the preseason rank you want to be picking him up because he can return you value. The projected rank being 63, I thought that was really high, mate.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He's not a 63. I don't know what they're projecting him to do, whether they're projecting some sort of injury. You can't do that. But 63, huge value. So that'll come in. That'll change, of course, but interesting nonetheless. Speaking of interesting, some more undervalued guys. Our guy, Cooper Flag, 79 projected rank. I can't see it particularly early. Kyrie's not there.
It's almost like I want to do a pre-spoiler alert for the show that we're doing when we break down I took Cooper Flag again in that analyst box because you haven't seen that yet. You've only listened. You've only told me you've heard that. You haven't seen it. You've only heard about the draft, and you're like, Matty, you pulled off some stuff. I'm like, yeah, I did. I pulled off some really great stuff there under pressure.
Do you remember where you picked him? It wasn't 79.
No, it was in a 3rd round reversal. That's the spoiler alert. In a 3rd round reversal, and I was pick 1, which means I picked number 1 with Jokic. In a 3rd round reversal, you were not going to believe in a packed analyst draft where I picked him up. But this right here, This is some great stuff. These projected rankings are stupidly bonkers. But Ja Morant, Zach LaVine, and Julius Randle. Jeez, poor Julius Randle. This means that Julius Randle would not exist on a fantasy team. If you do your math, quick muff, 12 times 12, that's 144 players. 12 teams, 12 players, 144 guys on the books. Julius Randle doesn't make the cut with a projected rank in Yahoo of 149. Who hates him and why?
Yeah, aren't you catching up with Dan Titus soon? Just have a chat to him.
Yeah,
And just
I
mention
am.
Julius Randle amongst all these other ones. But yeah, it is interesting. 67 of preseason rank is more acceptable. 60, to be honest, is probably a little bit too high for my taste anyway. But 149 represents massive value. But Zach LaVine with 99, projected rank of 99. Again, I know he's not going to be the focal point of Sacramento, but 99 is huge value.
I got 99 problems, but Zach LaVine at that range ain't one. That's all I'm going to say. Like, if you're picking him up there, look, it was Sacramento is Sacramento. They're back to me. Thank you so much, Sacramento, for being wonderful and lighting the beam so much for that year that we really just believed in you. And I didn't, and that's no pun intended, that we really got behind Sacramento as a fantasy basketball, as a wonder kid for you guys. But Zach LaVine around here, look, I don't know what's to come of him in this team. I'm not projecting it very high, but I don't want to touch a lot of Sacramento players this year. That's all I'm saying. Like, this is a team that I'm really kind of actively avoiding, but this just seems too late for a guy. If I can get him late and he's getting 20 points a game and 3 or 4 rebounds or 3 or 4 assists and he climbs that defense back up there, I'll take it. But this is really late.
Yeah. Preseason rank of 63. I think that's appropriate. Getting into some more intriguing ranks as well. This is too high for my liking. I spoke about this, but Dyson Daniels at projected rank of 12. Insane. Let's just go back to that one. But yeah, projected rank of 12 for Dyson Daniels. Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, it is. Look, I expect a regression from last year. This is pretty much placing him on where he was. Even in points leagues, I don't see him being that high of an asset. So this is some weird amalgam right here. The Cason Wallace, the projected rank at 24, like, oh, geez, Mary, Mother, and Joseph. And Keegan Murray from the aforementioned Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, I think we just have to disregard all of this. All the guys that you see on here, they're not going to be available at this point in real drafts, but Dyson Daniels.
The only one is Keller Ware. The only one here is Keller Ware at 88.
88 for preseason rank. Look, I didn't fill it out for the other guys, but 38 projected rank is, again, too high, but 88 feels okay.
It feels okay. I think I have him at 72 or 70 in my last big board that I did. I'm okay with him there. I see him being needed in Miami. I see him having a step up this year. I see his free throw percentage is still the biggest weakness in his game, but I see him getting I see him as a consistent double-double guy. Maybe 12 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, and a couple blocks with occasional flourishes of like, oh my gosh, he hit me a couple threes that game in 3 blocks. And you'd be like, oh my gosh, he's the greatest asset. And that's when you try and sell high on him, when he is in that like 30 or 40 zone in fantasy basketball. But Keller Ware at this range, this is probably the only guy in the list that I like.
Yeah, Sam Hauser at 57, but I mentioned this earlier, Peyton Pritchard at 33. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. I know he's going to have a nice season, and he's probably going to start, but at 33, not for me.
Yeah, 100%. Like everyone's high on him, doing something, going somewhere with this team, and that he might be a guy that goes undrafted on your draft day, and then you pick up during the course of the season. So Sam Hauser should be on your watch list. If you can put your notifications on there, then that's what you do. Why? Because there will be a point where Sam Hauser becomes a very valuable fantasy asset for you, maybe at one point in the season, and that is when they're tanking.
Yeah. I wanted to quickly mention it. It's not there because it would have ruined the slide anyway, but Peyton Pritchard's preseason rank is actually 94, which presents value. I like Peyton Pritchard, to be honest.
And we all know with the whole thing with him, with what's his name, Anthony Simons. I'm almost forgetting him because I think the Boston Celtics have forgotten that they acquired him in a draft. Not in a draft, in a trade. But they're like, oh shit. Did we pick up Anthony Simons? Oh gosh, we got to trade that guy, because all of the rumors are that they want him out of town after bringing him in, which is crazy. Pascal Siakam, projected at 80. Do you think that is mostly driven these two next rankings with Pascal Siakam and Zion Williamson? Look, I see them at 27-39. I see these as being fine. I see Zion being higher this year. Do you think this is the fear of the New Orleans Pelicans and the Pacers eventually steering towards a tank?
Potentially. I think it's at 80 and at 96 respectively. There's no real harm. The impact and the risk at this stage, it's minimal. So you're getting yourself a potential top 50 dude, top 30, top 40 guy at, let's say, round 7, round 8. I think it's a no-brainer. But again, projected
Yep.
rank. Love to get Dan Titus's insights on how they came up with this. If it
Yep.
is that risk of shutdown, let us know. But it is interesting nonetheless. And we round this out with Brandon Podziemski, who I think he has a good opportunity this season. There's some rumors around some potential trades to the Warriors, but at this stage, I think he starts, and 113, I think that presents value.
Look, if the only way that he really takes a hit is if that Josh Giddey thing with the Kuminga between Chicago and Golden State plays out. I think Pods has a role. I think Pods is kind of beloved. He's also been doing a low-key media tour this offseason. If you kind of notice, if you kind of pay attention to the tea leaves, he's popping up here, popping up there. They're getting him a bit of shine. They're talking about him as an organization. His projected ranking is really high. His preseason rank feels about right. Like, I don't have a lot wrong with it at this point in time. I do see him as being a top 100 player this year. So again, if I can get a top 100 player just outside that, and again, by top 100, I mean like around 90-ish. But if I see him falling to 113 or even to 115 or 120 in my draft, that eclipses 2 rounds of value, which is really good. And if you can get 2 rounds of value on the guys around here, that's what you should be aiming for come draft day, DMAC.
Yeah, and if Yahoo's projecting that he will be the 61st best player in fantasy, perhaps they're thinking the same, that he's just going to explode. But you don't take him at 61. You take him around. If you can get him around that 113 mark, absolutely. You build that value, and that's 100%. How you win fantasy leagues.
I need to find out what his ADP data is somewhere really quickly. I need to Google. I'm going to jump on. I've got to. You say something while I go on a Fantrax and find out what his thing is, because there is no way, shape, or form that bloke right now. It can't be. Can I find Pods? Pods.
What's he on Pods? You might have to search for a little bit. But
gosh, he's 120. His ADP is going to 120. Exactly where I love him. I love you. I love you there, Pods.
That's Fantrax.
That's Fantrax at 120. So this is a guy who can present a potential 2 rounds of value, and that's Fantrax, and that's more onto it than a lot of other places for category leagues. So Pods is a guy that maybe in ESPN, maybe in Yahoo is going at 125 or even 130, or even potentially, and I know this for a fact, I have seen him go DMAC undrafted in a couple of Yahoo leagues. I think Pods definitely becomes a late round flyer target at this point in time.
Absolutely. Now, there's a lot of value in there. There's going to be a lot more value from where we're coming from. A lot more content coming your way. Matty G, what do you have in store?
Mate, we are breaking down a analyst mock draft. We have something very special you and I have in the pipeline of the works. Make sure you check out our notifications on Instagram and on X for that. We have more Believe in Fantasy goodness coming to you, including guys like Pods in next week's episode that we think can help you win your league after the top 100. So guys, if you're looking late, like you talk about sleepers and upside, well, okay, but who's eclipsing this bubble? Like who's on the bubble right now who could really help to change your fortune late in drafts? Because that's where you start to eat. You start to eat in your fantasy drafts late. You start to get these guys like last year, the Dyson Daniels in some situations. You get these guys like Josh Hart. You get these guys who come in and who just eat ADP data away. If you want to win your league, those are the guys you draft, and we have a special coming up for you, DMAC and I, on that real soon as well.
Oh, baby. But now that you know the Yahoo Top 25, check out the rankings playlist on the Believe in Fantasy channel on YouTube for all of our rankings episodes. So, like we said, ESPN, Fantrax, and of course, Yahoo. Thank you, Matty. And until next time, thanks, guys. See ya.
Take care. Bye.